up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of our STI shop build. Now, if you guys haven't been keeping up with what we've been doing on it, check out the last couple of episodes, and otherwise I'll catch you up to speed. Really what we've done is put in some of the entry-level mods into this thing. You can see a lot of them under the engine bay here, a lot of aesthetic GrimmSpeed stuff just to make this thing look better compared to stock. We've also hit it with some performance things, the Stage 1 package, which includes the intake and the 3-port boost controller, and now we're ready to step it up to the next level, the Stage 2. As you guys can probably hear, it's a super busy day out in the shop, so apologies on the noise, but if you bear with us, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening today, including a bunch of parts that have recently come in for us. Now, on a typical build like this, we'll throw some GrimmSpeed aesthetic stuff, some performance stuff, and kind of call it a day. We're going to be doing things a little bit different and bring in some other manufacturers that we've worked with in the past to throw some other parts on this car, whether it's exterior aesthetics or braking and handling, things like that. So I've gotten word that we've got our first package of stuff in from our receiving guy. Let's go see what we got back there. Hopefully it's something exciting. So it looks like today we got a bunch of suspension and handling goodies along with some exterior stuff. So up top here is some boxes from Faction Fab. We've got adjustable coilovers here and then brake rotors and pads there. And then underneath we've got a order from SubaSpeed of some OLM exterior things, a front lip and some side skirts. So why don't we take this over to our car, and in the meantime we'll also pick up some of the GrimmSpeed stuff we're going to be using. I mentioned we're going to be putting on the downpipe to complete the Stage 2 package, along with a pitch stop mount and then an adapter to make our OEM catback work on that setup until it's time to upgrade to the GrimmSpeed catback. So let's grab that stuff and get back to the car. Well, new parts day is always awesome, and we got so much stuff, we really can't install it on one session, so we're going to break it apart into two. Since our tune is tomorrow, I'm going to focus on the downpipe, so we're going to get the car up in the air, get the OEM downpipe out, and replace it with the GrimmSpeed unit, making it the Stage 2 package. Then we'll take it over to the dyno, get it tuned for that, see how much power we make, and after that, we're going to focus on some of the suspension and handling stuff I mentioned from Faction Fab. We're going to put the GrimmSpeed pitch stop mount in, and then move things over to the OLM exterior bits, the front lip kit and the side skirts. So there's going to be a lot of changes to this car in the next couple of days. Why don't we get started and make some progress on it? Now, if you've never taken a downpipe off in an STI, it's a fairly easy job. You can do it at home. You don't need a lift to do it, but you do need to take some stuff off. So typically you would pull the top mount intercooler, which is not too difficult of a job, some clamps, some bolts, and it comes right out. Then you're gonna get access to the heat shield. You take that off, and then you'll have room to take the bolts off of the downpipe. Once you get the transmission tab and the catback disconnected, then it should slide right out. So let's get to work, and then you can kind of see how it all goes. If you want to see an installation video of it, hop on the product page for the GrimmSpeed downpipe and it'll be there, but otherwise you'll get an idea of how this is going to work. So with this last nut, we are wrapped up here. We took the top mount off, we took the heat shield and its brackets off, and then basically what holds the downpipe to the turbo are just 3 studs and 2 bolts. So once those are out, this little bracket comes with it. We're good up here. So let's lift it up, get the trans tab off, and then the catback side of it, and the pipe should theoretically just slide right out. we've got the factory downpipe out of the car. Let's pull the GrimmSpeed one out of the box, and then we can take a look exactly what the differences are between the two units. Now that we've got the OEM downpipe out, I want to compare it to the GrimmSpeed pipe and show you exactly what makes this one so much better before we put it in the car. So straight away you can see that on this downpipe there's no provision for internal wastegate gases to make their way down into the pipe smoothly. Essentially when your wastegate opens up, it's going to be hitting this wall and then the gases have to go down here. Now with ours, we've decided to go with a divorced design. So you see there's actually two pieces of piping here and a hole here with a recessed area in the limited style downpipe, and basically the purpose of that is to direct all those internal wastegate gases down here and then into the pipe where it can be a lot more of a smooth flow and less turbulence around here. So that's one of the things that allows you to increase the horsepower in your car by raising the boost and having the internal wastegate keep up and alleviating some of those issues that you hear about, like boost creep, over boosting, things like that. That is a big reason why tuners like this, especially if you're running an internal wastegate setup, but even if you go to an external. Straight away, looking at the back side of the downpipes, you can see the differences and improvements that we've made over the stock unit. The biggest thing is the diameter of the piping. So ours is 3-inch all the way through, whereas the OEM is just above 2 inches. So you're increasing the diameter, you're increasing how much of the exhaust gases can flow effectively. The other big thing is the coating. Now this is a functional thermal ceramic coating. It acts much like a heat wrap, so it keeps the heat in the pipe, increasing the velocity, and again, the flow through the pipe. Other little things are the two O2 bungs. On the OEM one, you see just one. We've included a secondary one if you want to run like an AFR gauge or whatever your tuner wants to do with it. We also have a plug where you can just plug it and not use it if you don't need it. The other thing with it being a 3-inch pipe is the flange is a 3-inch flange at the end of it. So in order to run the stock system, we have an adapter, but the great thing about that is when you upgrade to an aftermarket catback that's also 3-inch, then you don't have a bottleneck like a lot of the competitors do, where their flange goes down to accept a donut gasket like this. So again, keeping all of that exhaust gas flowing and even throughout the exhaust system. Once we've got this thing installed in our STI, we are effectively going to have the GrimmSpeed Stage 2 package. We already have the intake and the 3-port boost controller, so this is kind of the last piece of the puzzle. Now, one of the important things to mention is when you order the Stage 2 on our website, the downpipe that's on there is the standard, non-limited, non-coated version, but if you put in the notes that you want either the coating or the limited flange with the recessed internal wastegate portion, then our customer service guys can reach out to you and then basically take the extra payment for the add-on options. Now this one is the top of the line one. I'm excited to get it in the car and even more excited to get it to the dyno in a couple of hours and see what it can do. Now I mentioned the GrimmSpeed Downpipe is 3 inches all the way through, including the flange, and since we're going to be using the OEM catback for now, we're going to have to mate it up with an adapter. So we're going to use this 3-inch to 2.5 adapter, and basically what happens is the donut gasket, the factory gasket that comes on the exhaust system, will slip right on there, and then this will fit into the larger pipe and this will fit into the smaller side. Now once we add the GrimmSpeed catback, we're going to get rid of this, obviously the OEM catback itself, and then we're going to have a 3-inch all the way through with a flat gasket between the two flanges. But for now, we gotta utilize this. And since our car only has about 1,000 miles on it, our donut gasket is reusable. They're decently heavy duty, but we do also have GrimmSpeed replacements for them if you guys need them, especially with older cars. They tend to fall apart when you take the exhaust system apart. the last couple of bolts tightened up, so we are officially done with the downpipe install. Now normally next we would put the heat shield back on, but the factory OEM heat shield doesn't fit with most aftermarket downpipes. Ours isn't an exception, so this is going to be junk to us. What we're going to upgrade into is the GrimmSpeed heat shield with the gold foil heat wrap, but technically this is part of the stage 3 kit, so I'm not going to throw it on quite yet. What we're going to be doing is putting the intercooler back on, but we do have an opportunity since we're going to be upgrading some of the suspension stuff. What we're going to do is put another GrimmSpeed piece underneath the intercooler before that goes in, and that is the GrimmSpeed pitch stop mount. So I'm going to take the factory pitch stop off first, and then I'll show you exactly what the differences are between that, this, and then this third mystery box that I have here. This is the OEM pitch stop mount. Now, for those of you who don't know what this does, it basically alleviates the pitch of your engine and transmission. So the action of going back and forth when you're accelerating hard or braking. Now, the problem with this one is it's pretty flimsy, especially compared to one like I have in the box. You can literally bend this one with your hand. So when you have an engine that is very heavy and it's pitching back and forth, then it actually moves quite a bit. So the biggest difference straight away is you can see that it's not this kind of plasticky composite, but it is billet aluminum. So it's really heavy duty. There's no way you're going to be able to bend that. And then also the bushings. They are a much higher durometer, so they're much stiffer than OEM. OEM you can move with your hand, these not so much. So it basically stiffens up everything, and you're going to feel it when you're braking hard, when you're accelerating hard. So kind of a small part of upgrading the suspension and handling system of the car overall. But it's a good idea to put this in anytime you really have the intercooler off because it's right underneath. The install itself is crazy easy, so I'd recommend just make it easy on yourself and put it in right away when you take the top mount off. The mystery thing I had in this box is actually another version of the GrimmSpeed pitch stop mount. Now it's technically not out yet, but by the time the video drops, I'm sure it'll be available on our website. And what this is the race version of the pitch stop. Now, a lot of you have been asking for us to make a race version, and essentially what that means is it's got harder durometer bushings than even this one has. So what we've done is the inverse design. We've done red anodizing with black bushings. They're a little bit harder compared to the standard street version. And when you have this, you're gonna feel the car a little bit more vibrations, things like that, but it's really more for the hardcore buyer, people that take their car to the track or don't mind a little bit more vibration in daily driving. It looks really cool, and you should be able to pick this up on the website as of right now. So we're just rolling up to JM Auto to get our tune for the Stage 2. This is probably the third or fourth time we've been here in the last couple of weeks, so they might be getting a little sick of us, but we're not getting sick of them. We always like seeing what they've got going on, and we trust those guys, so we like giving them the keys to the car, seeing what kind of power they can make, especially on this upgrade, the downpipe. So we're gonna let them do their thing, and then we'll report back with what the results were.
My name is Devin Waite. I'm the engine calibrator and tuner at JM Automotive. I got tons of GrimmSpeed. We got the intake, intercooler, boost controller, downpipe. I got a GrimmSpeed catback on my STI as well. The 18 pluses just seem to make more power than the older cars. I think that has to do with the turbo. Me having the divorce definitely seems to be the better option, just simply because you're keeping the airflow separate. So that it can come exit the turbo much better and just go down the downpipe instead of having them right next to each other, or even the factory how it's just a big plate. and it all kind of matches together right there. We already accomplished the stage 1 tune, so I have a very good base map to start off with. I'm going to go with 0 boost again, so we'll just hit wastegate pressure about 10, it might creep up to about 12-15 psi, and then I will have timing pulled back, so that way it's all nice and safe. You know, if it gets lean or anything weird happens on the first couple pulls, we can figure out that and make adjustments that are needed. And then we'll slowly work ourselves up with the boost and see. Usually we do about 19 psi today. We might do 20, 21, 22. We'll see what kind of power increases we get with those boost levels. See if it's still picking up power with that. And then after that, we'll dial in the ignition timing and make sure the feeling is good, and it'll be all good to go.
Well, I'm back at the office and I'm looking at the dyno charts that Devin sent over after he did his magic on the dyno. And he boosted it up to a safe level where we're making good power, but the car is actually reliable and a good daily driver. And we knew coming into stage 2 that the downpipe was going to make some good power for us, and it definitely did not disappoint. So just to recap on where we started, I've got my little cheat sheet right here. We began at 280 torque and 282 horsepower. That was our stock baseline. Now, we moved up in the last episode to the stage 1 package, which was the 3-port boost controller, the intake, and we made 339 torque and 307 horsepower. So that was kind of our baseline going into the stage 2. When we put on the downpipe, the install, as you guys saw, fairly easy. Kind of a fun one. If you've never done a downpipe install, it's always a good learning lesson to kind of tear into some of that stuff, and a good result. We ended up with 390 torque at 3,500 RPMs and 338 horsepower at 5,500 RPMs. And Clinton, you can do your magic and throw up the dyno charts right here so you guys can check them out. But overall, we got a 51 torque gain and a 31 horsepower gain over stage 2. So again, that's the downpipe and the tune sort of doing its magic to get some good torque and horsepower figures from that. So we're very happy with it. I haven't gotten a chance to really drive the car hard, but anytime you get that kind of bump in horsepower and torque, it always makes the car a lot more fun, and really it speaks volumes as to why the stage 2 is particularly popular as a package. Now, this episode actually took longer than we suspected it would, so we broke it apart into two pieces. This is part 1. Part 2 is coming up shortly. We're probably going to put it just a few days out as we edit it, and there are a couple of things that you guys are going to want to stick around for, because now that we have a little bit more power in the car, we want to address more of the handling and suspension needs. Now, we did the pitch stop mount because it was kind of convenient at the time, and we did the race version, so it's the harder version of the two, which is really cool. And then we've got brakes, so pads and rotors coming up from Faction Fab. We've also got coilovers, again from Faction Fab, and then for a little bit of aesthetic change, we're doing a front lip and side skirts, and that's from OLM and from GrimmSpeed. So we're gonna get all that stuff thrown in the second episode, or the second part of this episode. So hopefully you guys will stick around for that. Please subscribe to our page, like the video, share it around, do us a favor. That would be awesome if you're enjoying the content. And like I said, stay tuned for part 2 of this episode.